Do you have a child of mixed origins? Are you and your partner of different ethnicities or cultures or countries and now live in another one and have children or will soon have children? Then this video is for you. Hi, again. I'm Alessandra. I'm 58 years old. I'm Italian. I grew up in Italy, but I was born in Germany. I then went back to Germany, and then I had my daughter, and then I went to Switzerland. So genetically, I'm half Italian, quarter French, quarter German. I have 3 different citizenships, and I live in Switzerland. And I had to deal with this topic since birth, more or less. I had a German father, a German mother by law, and I was born in Germany, so let me guess what I was. For the law, I was 100% German, which is not what I feel and it's not what my DNA says. So we have to really think about all these aspects. What is defining your identity? And it is all of those aspects and none of them. It is the country where your parents come from. It can be the citizenship. It can be the place where you were born. It can be the place where you are growing up or have grown up or where you live now. It can be the language that you are speaking, the language you are thinking in or you are dreaming in, even if that changes very quickly, by the way. Is it colors? Stupid, huh? Is it the color of the skin, which is called racism? Is it the color of your hair? Is it the color of your eyes? Which, for me, those 3 last questions show how stupid racism is, because strangely, there is no racism based on the color of the eyes, fortunately. So, have you ever heard about people saying, yeah, people with blue eyes are dumb, and people with green eyes are smart, and people with black eyes are creative? No, it's just a color of the eyes. And the same for the hair. Nobody would say blonde people are smart and brown-haired people are stupid. But as soon as it comes to the color of the skin, there seem still to be people who think that this is somehow characterizing a human. And just to be sure, I think nothing which is on the outside of a human being says anything about this human being. Let me come back for a minute on this topic of racism. I think it is hugely important, and I am, as sad as it may be, but I am so happy that this whole topic of racism and Black Lives Matter finally is in the public discussion, because we have to finally stop that. Not the discussion, racism. I am fully aware that being a white woman in Europe makes me a very privileged person. But still, this doesn't take away my empathy and my morals, my values, and my values are anti-racist. So what I find a bit difficult is that on one side, we do have scientists who say that there are no races within the humankind, which is right. But then there are people who say, yes, so we shouldn't use the word racism, which is wrong. So yes, there is just one human race and not different races of animals, just like, cats, dogs, horses. And within them, again, there is one humankind. So we shouldn't talk about races of humans. But as there is racism, we have to use these words just to point at it, just to show it, just to stop it. And in a similar discussion, there is not only racism, there's also patriarchy. So it's not only a question of the color of the skin, but it's also a question of being a man or a woman. And this shows, for instance, in mixed partnerships, where, you know, a black woman and a white man is a completely different combination from the moral point of view of some, stupid people, than the other way around. And what I really don't understand is how a mixed child, which is half black and half white, is just reduced to black. This child is half white also. What difference does it make? So, to be honest, I always thought that at the very end of humanity, we all are mixed so far that we all have a skin color like cappuccino, and then it's good. Then we stop this racism, because it might take a few 100 years. If the parents of a child are one black and one Asian, then in the child, people mostly can see that they are interracial. And for unfortunately some people, this still is something bad, which I don't get, but it's like it is. And in former time it was there are still countries where it's illegal. I remember a colleague when I was living in Germany, and this colleague, he was a white man, and at a certain point he fell in love with a woman in Thailand. Unfortunately, he is such a kind soul. He was aware of all those thoughts that people might have, you know. When he came back with her, they still were not married. She had a tourist visa, and they were trying to find out if their love would really carry the weight of these two cultures and of this racism, in which is valid, also happening also in Germany, of course. So he was so aware of the prejudices of the people around them, and he tried to protect her, and he tried to make sure that people understood that he fell in love with her and she fell in love with him, and this was the only reason why they were together and why she was with him in Germany, as he was with her in Thailand. And to see that on one part, what was so nice to see, how he was taking care of her and trying to protect her, and on the other side, you realized how bad the situation is. And you know, they also had to face German bureaucracy, officials coming to their house, checking if they had both toothbrushes in one glass in the bathroom. So if it was really then a marriage of love, or if it was just to make sure that she would become German at a certain point. It's not easy for a partnership to deal with that, but this is the reality that is happening to many of those mixed couples. This colleague and his then wife from Thailand didn't have children, so it was just to talk about the basic problems in those relations. But as soon as a mixed couple has children, I think it's their task to make sure that the children know about the topics that come up. And I was able to see that very closely from a family that they were our neighbors, where she is German and he is from Peru, and they met in Switzerland and they fell in love in Switzerland and they got married in Switzerland, and then they had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And she is, you know, a very tough woman working. She had given birth to those two children, and she is the you know, the word strong love, tough love is really reflecting how she is dealing with the whole situation in her house. And she was the one who was teaching discipline and, you know, saying, now you have to do your homework before you go outside to play, and so on. So very German, let's say. And her husband, he is in his way also very Latino. So he's always, you know, pampering the children, and whatever they want, he says yes. And so there were these two aspects of the people. And the children were born here in Switzerland, and nobody talked to them about who they were, about their identity. So at the beginning, they didn't think about it, which is normal. And then at a certain point, the problem was that the parents got divorced. And somehow the children, as it happens often, felt they had to take part of one of the parents. They both went to live with their mother. But at a certain point, they splitted their identity. So they started developing this Latino temperament, which they didn't have before, which is fine. But it was feeling a bit insecure because they were just trying to somehow bond to the father. So the whole situation was a bit confusing, mainly for them, of course. They were 13, 14, 15 when the whole divorce happened, which is a crucial period in a human being's life. And it was not really easier due to that whole situation of mixed cultures and being in a third country then. And I think if the parents would have supported them a bit more, or would have supported them in finding their identity, their lives would have been much easier. But how can you know about the problem if you are not born with the problem? Of course, you are German, you don't think about your mixed child having an identity problem, because identity for those people with a homogeneous root is automatic. It happens. You have it, full stop. Meanwhile, in those cases where you are mixed, you have to develop it. You have to decide about it. And this is exactly what I mean. You have to write to define your identity. If you enjoyed this video and what I talked about and thought about, please give me a thumbs up. This helps me immensely. And yeah, I would really, really like to see your comments about this topic. Would like you to share your thoughts, and maybe we can just build on my first ideas and just develop this topic even more in different directions, following based on your experiences. So again, please subscribe, please like, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.